joining us with more from Trilogy Advisors geopolitical strategist John Sitilides. All right, John, the White House made it official. They've given Russia 6 months. At issue is Russia's development of this 9M729 missile, but these missiles have a range of 480 kilometers, just 10 Ks short of what's described in the INF. That said, was the White House really just looking for an excuse to get out of this 30-year-old deal?
Manila, the INF Treaty served a very important purpose since 1987, for nearly 3 decades, in helping to prevent the production and the deployment of tactical theater nuclear weapons between the United States and the Soviet Union, which doesn't exist anymore. We're in a very different geopolitical environment today. And the Obama administration in 2014 was the first one to actually accuse Russia of violating this agreement. Not much was done except for a lot of diplomatic exchanges of communication, but the Trump administration has been talking the same line as the Obama administration for the last 2 years, but it's this administration that's decided the U.S. is no longer going to unilaterally comply with the agreement while accusing Russia of having unilaterally violated it for the last 5 years.
But now Russia, I mean, we heard in Dan's report there that Russia invited the U.S. to come check out these missiles. I mean, they're technically in compliance, aren't they, if it's 10K short?
This is really for the diplomats to work out. The United States, especially under the State Department and the Arms Control Director, have been making the accusation that Russia is not in compliance. They have presented what they consider to be very verifiable, very credible information accusing Russia of its violations, and the Russians simply dismiss those charges. So I think what's really needed here is a serious, formal framework for reviewing what's exactly been done, what has not been done, and not only do you negotiate a new agreement between the United States and Russia, but the Trump administration's complaint now is also that there are countries such as China and Iran that are producing tactical or intermediate-range nuclear weapons, and they're under no obligation to minimize or to stop production of those missiles.
I'm glad you brought that up, because it certainly is a new world in the last 30-some-odd years. China has now become a global superpower. India has their hands on nukes. Iran has nuclear capability. Is that what we need then? Should we scrap this one the way President Trump scrapped NAFTA and just create a whole brand new one? Or do we just walk away from any sort of deal altogether?
My own sense is that technology is moving us in a very different direction than the last 30 years. Russia and China are also now very publicly announcing the deployment of hypersonic glider missiles that operate a very different manner. They don't have a clean trajectory. They arc up into space and come back into the atmosphere. They actually are able to evade anti-missile systems, and they're going to be very disruptive in terms of protecting your strategic assets against strategic nuclear weapons. So we not only have intermediate range weapons that have to be reviewed, but soon you'll also have the potential extension of the START agreement, which is for strategic nuclear weapons. It's set to expire in 2021, and I think the right arms control framework now can help promote an extension of that agreement so that we don't have to renegotiate at the strategic level where missiles are able to be delivered thousands of miles.
Now, between now and then, between the start, before that expires in 2021, between now and then, what about everyone's fears of this opening the doors for a new arms race? I mean, couldn't this put us worse off by 2021?
The Obama administration's position and now the Trump administration's position has been that the arms race has begun with Russia's violation of the INF Treaty. So it's really now a matter of the United States being able to catch up with Russia if Russia continues to violate by being able to produce and to deploy these weapons, or to make it in Russia's interest that both countries pull back from that type of active deployment. But the arms race is already on.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of finger pointing from both sides there, from Moscow and Washington. But now critics say that this whole new hawkish tone coming from the White House stems from newly appointed National Security Advisor John Bolton. They say that he's kind of co-opted Trump's foreign policy. What do you think of that?
I think that's a lot of speculation from people who maybe just find criticizing the administration to be fun sport. Nobody knows what's actually happening inside the White House except for one thing. The president signs off on all of these executive decisions. So whether he's co-opted by this individual or that individual is really more of a parlor game. The bottom line is there's a consensus within the Trump administration that this is the right way to proceed, and pretty much how the United States has dealt with China in terms of trade, that this is the time to renegotiate with the United States States feels are a whole series of violations of the WTO compliance requirements on the part of China. Now is the time to review an outdated agreement that it feels that the Russians have been violating, but that also new technology is moving possibly all major powers in a different direction going forward.
Yeah, definitely a different day, but at the end of the day, the buck stops with President Trump. I think we can all agree on that. So we will have to wait and see what happens, I guess, in the next 180 days. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. John Sitilides of Trilogy Advisors.
Thanks for having me.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.